Okay, alright, hello and welcome everybody. My name is Steve Wright, as you can see from the screen, and I've been asked to college today. I've been here a couple of times, so I'm here because there's a duty from government to colleges to deliver on the PREVENT strategy. And the PREVENT strategy, for those who don't know, is the way that the government tackles radicalisation. Tries to tackle extremism and racism and terrorism ultimately. They've got a strategy. We've got other things in place, police, secret services, armed forces. But how do we make sense of it to our young people when there's so much hate speech out there, when there's so much poisonous material online that's circulated around you? How do we make you see sense of it? Because, you know, if we don't, terrorism and extremism is the greatest challenge of our age. And hate only creates more hate. So it's a serious challenge to the way we live our life and how we develop, how your future is basically. What kind of country do you want to live in? That would sort of drill down to British values. You want to be safe in your communities, you want to have opportunities, you want to be accepted wherever you go. Then British values underpins all that. So I'm going to take you through both those subjects for the next 50 minutes or so, but I'm going to use sort of employability as a key to it as well, because I've got a bit of a weird job presenting education. I'm a puppeteer. I started and I found puppetry years ago, 20 years ago, when I was in India, and I found these cute little puppets on the streets that people were making, and I just thought there was something about them. I don't know what it was. It was like I saw someone making one. They had a chisel, and they were sitting there fashioning their head. And then I saw someone with a paintbrush who was doing these lovely little lines. And I saw someone with a sewing machine making a costume. And then at the end of the street, there was a show. These little puppets dancing around, singing songs and stuff. And I thought the whole creative process suddenly appealed to me. You know, puppets are interesting because you can make what you want. You know, this looks like a Rajasthani folk woman, doesn't it? But Paul, there are other things. It's a Rajasthani folk man. This is quite clever, that, isn't it? I don't know what it's saying, like. Is it comment on transgender politics in India, perhaps? Or should we just be saying, excuse me, love, you've got to blow up your skirts? You know? I don't know. Maybe it's just a bit of fun. I don't know. But I came back to England and I thought, you know what, I want to be a puppeteer. I want to be a puppeteer. I thought, oh, how can I make it happen? So I rang the agent, like, you know, the agent gets you work and stuff. And he said, can you do Punch and Judy shows? And I said, no. He said, well, if you can do that, I can get you work. So I thought, all right, I'm on it. So I probably saw some Punch and Judy puppets. Became a children's entertainer. What a mistake that was. You've seen 25 5-year-olds high on shovels screaming, are you the puppet man? Yes. But the problems didn't end there, I'm afraid. As soon as you start the show, alarm bells start ringing, do you know what I mean? Because Mr. Punch, he is a violent man, closing the name, and he carries his slapstick around with him, you know, and anyone who gets anywhere near him gets battered, right? Problem is, in seeing one of this little play for children, it means his wife. What am I thinking to myself from inside my stripy booth when the children laugh every time he clips her? I tell you what I was thinking. Steve, you're doing domestic violence workshops for 5-year-olds, aren't you? What messages are they taking home to mummy and daddy? Go on, Dad, give her a clip. She'll soon shut up. You know, some things may be traditional. Doesn't make it right, does it? You know, sensibilities change, like language change, like behaviour change, like you know, policies change. So your career might change. And also, you know, you might start out in one branch of childcare, health and social, or whatever it is you're trying to do. And then you might, you know, begin to see where your career ladder may lead. And as a puppeteer, I thought, where else could I be employed? And it was obvious that being on television. And I was inspired by the late, great Jim Henson, who, when he was young, he submitted a design to the US Patent Office, and he drew up a picture of a small puppet with a moving mouth, and he called it a Muppet. Use his word, Muppet, copyright, registered, trademark, Kuchi. You know, the most famous puppet company in the world was born. And all the while he was training up puppeteers to work to camera, not out of a stripy booth with a load of noisy, shoving other kids. You were in the studio, your eyeliner was absolutely spot on. Really good to camera, like it is when you're human. You look in people's eyes, don't you, to communicate. Oh yeah. And your lip sync's got to be good, which is basically the ability to be able to move the puppet's mouth at more or less exactly the same time as you speak. Yeah, simple. Well, it's not rocket science, is it? But I'm literally that good at it now, yeah? I can do it with my eyes closed. Look at that, special. Feeling it now, aren't you? Hey? Bit of a career change going on your radar, kid. Hey? Connected to puppetry now. Obviously, the next thing is you've got to be good at voices. And I don't know if you can tell where I'm from. Can you tell where I'm from? Anybody? Where? Yorkshire. Yeah, I'm from Yorkshire, so this is what English sounds like when it's being spoken properly and that. Okay? But there are other accents available, apparently. And I travel all over the country. Again, when I ask them what their favourite accent is, no matter where it is, South Coast, West Coast, London, wherever. Yes, of course, you guessed it. Everybody loves a Scouser, don't they? What is it about Liverpool? Is there something about character? Hey, what is it? I don't know. I teach people how to do Scouse accents, right? I tell them you've only got to pick a word to get started. And if you can get one word right, then you can do a Scouse accent, because you can just grow it from there. And the word I ask them to learn is the word word. Because you say the word like this. Wait. And you do it. Wait. And suddenly, you're off and running. It's great, isn't it? It's fun. So you've got to be able to sort of take risks in your career. Take risks, show initiative, be bold, you know? And I love all British actors, you know, you can spend all day messing up the voices, but I'll just cut to my favourite, right? The one that the youth have invented. I call it the wannabe gangster, right? It's the one where you get your puppies to talk like that, blood. You get me? One bread, you alright? Yes, fam, easy now. If you talk like that here, who you're listening to, like listen, check this out here, like the sound is coming in your ear, it's underneath your hair, on the side of your head, isn't it? Like what you're hearing is basically a 21st century British hybrid, you get me? Because you go to London, close your eyes, you can't even tell when a man is black or white or brown anymore, you get me? Because they all talk like that. It's weird, and it's leaked all over Yorkshire. The little wannabe G's are at it as well. Right? Kid comes up to me in Huddersfield, he's like that. Yes, fam. Awkward. Do you know what I mean? I'm not your fan, lad. Do you know what I mean? Positive blood test before we can have that conversation. You know, so. But my question is this, and my question is heavy. It's ready, Bill. You should. It's heavy. Yeah. My question is this. If I talk like that, is it A, offensive, or B, banter? Do you know what I mean? Blood. Where is the line between banter and offence? Because without banter, we dry up. Without banter, get out of bed, to be honest. British students, you know, you are particularly weird, aren't you? Let me prove it to you, right? This is a little anecdote. If you go somewhere sensible, like Spain or Sweden or Luxembourg or something, let's say there's 6 students walking down the road, okay? And one of them accidentally falls over. Right? Everyone else, I'm sure, will be like that, oh, are you okay? Come on, get up. Whereas in England, right? Yes, it's already funny. 6 students from England walking down the street, when you goes over, everyone else goes, ah! Someone's filming it, not uploading it, right? The kid is getting cyberbullied before he stands up. Sick weirdos. Don't change, right? Because you know what, we can't live without our sense of humour, can you? You can't live without a sense of humour. You know, I think about all the kind of Britishness, about all that kind of stuff, you know, how we take the mickey out of each other all the time. We cannot lose that. And I hate it. No, you can't say anything, everything depends. Really? I don't think so, do you? It's called having a laugh. Don't forget it. Right? So you know, puppets are a good way of doing that, because you're being cheeky. It's not me saying, hey. Distance, right? But the thing is, at some point as well, you might, you know, in your career, you might work for someone else. You might do a good job for them. It might inspire you to start your own business, you know? Create your own style. Perhaps, you know, branch out to something a little bit different from traditional puppetry. So to look at different types of characters where you're designing puppets that don't really exist like teenagers. I thought there's loads of puppets for kids. There's loads of puppets for 5-year-olds and stuff. What about teenagers? So I thought if I made a load of puppets that were based on a collection of gangsters and wannabe thugs and weirdos and the rest of my son's friends, it would be useful. So this is Shifty, and he's one of my boys, yeah. So he's a puppet. He has to be good, obviously, at eyeline. Yeah. He's got to be good at lensing. Yeah. And also because he's sort of life size, I can just use my own hand. So if I was teaching you puppetry, it'd be about being patient and thinking and breathing, reacting. But if I was getting on the front foot about this prevent business and where a lot of young people are coming from when they're into the adult world, they'll be like this. Alright Liverpool, how you doing? Yeah, thanks for coming, nice to see you and that, you know what I mean? Listen, all this stuff that he's on about, it started for me when I was a kid. Because my dad is, I suppose, what you all would call a little bit racist. Yeah? Because look as he is. He always has been, if I'm honest. He's usually shouting at the telly half the time. Look at them coming over here taking our job. They don't belong here, send them back home, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? And I think when you hear it that many times when you're growing up, it proper sinks in your head. Like there's a danger, it can become your view sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? I'll tell you what, I ain't chatting my dad's language in college anytime soon, I know that much. So for me, it's about finding my own voice in it. Ooh. Suddenly it's serious because who taught you bad language? When did you first hear a racial slur or a bullying insult? Because you all know the words, don't you? You know, like he does. You know all the bad words for sexuality, for disability, for race, for religion. All those horrible terms are in your head as well. So who put them there? And how are you going to keep them in a box at the back of your head that says do not use? Because we live in such an era of accountability in this country that you step over that line and someone will have an opinion. You know, we all want that protection for ourselves and our loved ones, don't we, and our colleagues. So bear in mind that one wrong tweet and one wrong text and one wrong comment can cost you everything. So you can see how I'm going with the puppets and what I'm doing there. So I'm going to combine a bit of puppetry with some work from the screen. And first of all, just introduce myself properly. My name is Steve Wright. My company is Roots Puppets. That's where I am on YouTube, at Roots Puppets, at Roots Puppets on Twitter if you'd like to comment on my work, or Steve the Puppeteer on Instagram if you want to do Instagram. So we're talking about prevent. What is it we're trying to prevent? The events of last summer. Good a place as any to start. Nobody thought the Ariana Grande concert would end like this, with teenagers crying in the streets and every blue light in the country attending the scene. How can someone think it's okay to go into a concert hall full of children and commit murder? How can someone think that's okay? But if you want to think about radicalisation, because this is an exercise in critical thinking, I'm asking you so sometimes there's no easy answers, sometimes no answers at all. It's just about opinions. But if you want to understand radicalisation, think about this. How can someone get someone else to do that? How can someone get someone else to think that's okay? Because that's radicalisation. What do they tell them? How much hate do they put inside a person so they're prepared to murder children? Right? That's how powerful radicalisation is. And of course they target the vulnerable. They're targeting me, are they? Because it's a strong-minded person. It's a waste of time, isn't it? You're not going to get turned over, are you? Already find someone who's already a hater. Got something to work with then. But what's going on in America? You know, cars ramming into crowds and burning torches and screaming faces. I feel like I've seen that picture before, but it was in black and white. You know, are we going forwards or backwards as a multicultural society? You know, we've made so much progress. It's what's happening now, sending us back. And Muslims are right at the centre of it, aren't they? You know, there was a young lad in the second group and he said, oh, Muslims, they could be terrorists, you know. And, you know, he was making an observation from a limited capacity of thought, to be honest. But those links are made, aren't they? When you see the word terrorist, you're almost expecting a word next to it which says something about Muslims. How would you feel if you were a British Muslim today? Law-abiding, peace-loving, community member. You know, how would you feel if every time you walk down the street, every time you hear about terrorism, you're thinking, looking over your shoulder? You know, these two women just found out their sons were jihadis in Barcelona. They didn't know. Of course they didn't know. Somebody stolen their children. The people radicalised them out. Oh, don't forget to tell your mum. You know, so the damage to Muslims worldwide, there's 1.2 billion Muslims on the surface of this planet, and a few murdering terrorists are giving the rest of them a bad name. Because hate crimes go up against normal, peaceful Muslims in every country when murderers do what they do far, far away. When I was your age, the same misjudgment and racism used to be visited on Irish people. When there was when there were troubles in Ireland, there was open racism towards Irish people. Some of the most friendly people you'll ever meet, quite frankly. So, you know, it's the same old racism, but a different target. Because these people aren't born terrorists, you know, they're grown, they're found, they're grown, you know, and you think to yourself, it must be difficult. How about this? What if it's easy? What if you just put some horrible material on YouTube or Facebook and put some fake news headlines on it and just sit back and see who watches it? We're all in the popularity game, aren't we? We're all posting all the time, you see new likes, new shares, and this and that and the other. So once I've got people watching my material, I've got an audience. And how many different ways can I get in touch with you? How many addresses have you got? I'm not talking about your house, I'm talking about your email, your phone, WhatsApp, Snapchat, YouTube, Facebook. How many different ways can I target an individual with horrible, horrible material? Never ever has it been so easy to be able to do that remotely to strangers. But why is everyone so angry anyway? What's the problem? We live in a first world democracy, freedom of choice, you can be what you like, you can be an hairdresser, be a plumber, be a puppeteer. So, I know things could be better, we could all be richer, but it's not bad, is it? There's a lot of other countries in the world where we don't get the freedoms that we take for granted here. Think about it. Think about the deal between you and your country. What do you expect when you open your eyes in the morning? You have the lights to come on. So that means the national grid's got to work. You're on public transport, so that's all going to be working, isn't it? You want the colleges to be open, the tuition to be paid, and the facilities to be there. You want schools for your little ones, jobs for your parents, hospitals for your elders. What else do you get? 999 coverage, police, fire and rescue. What else do you get free for being a British citizen? It's not free because we pay our taxes, but we pay into the pool of social benefit. What do you give back? It's not just about earning money and paying taxes, it's about being decent citizens, isn't it? We all do. You know, kindness and respect costs nothing, but it gets you everything. In America, the images that are coming in, you know, the lids off the jar, you've got the Ku Klux Klan re-emerging, firing over flags and spraying gas into the faces of Nation of Islam and Black Lives Matter, and, you know, it's disturbing. You know, whose interest is this in? You know, who's trying to scare us? Who's trying to send us back to the past? Because in our country, it's the good old far right, National Action, BNP, Britain First, whatever they do, change their name every 2 minutes. It's still the same fag-end far right racists who are trying to put us back to the past, who will not accept multiculturalism. Even though the fact is, people came from the Caribbean and from the subcontinent to help repair this country when it was flattened. 1945, you know, we needed help, and people came from all over the world to help us. And now the third and fourth generation descendants of those people are pure British citizens who only know what it is to be British. You know, Eastern Europeans who've been coming over in massive numbers to work over the last few years, they've attracted a lot of criticism as well. And yet we've got 150,000 people working in the NHS, without whom it would crash. If you take a member of your family to hospital tonight, do you care what accent the doctor's got? So why has immigration become a dirty word? You know, terrorism has an after effect of commiseration, commemoration, celebration, you know, kindness and bravery. Ariana Grande did really well. You could have excused her for not coming back to Manchester, but actually she was back within months. And she did this concert, and she had 10 times as many people in the audience, and 10 times as many people on the stage, because no one's running away from Manchester. Everyone's running back towards it to stand together and say, we are not afraid. A defiant gesture is what it is. And that's what we do. We say we'll stand strong when we are challenged. Otherwise what? We fall apart and haters win. Shouldn't happen, should it? And I'm not sure about what America's role in all this is. You know, we have leaned on them before, haven't we? Second World War, they gave a lot of their troops, died alongside your grandparents and great-grandparents to keep us, you know, to win our war. And now we've got Trump in the White House, and he's got beefs of his own, hasn't he? With the little rocket man. You know, Kim Jong-un. This is North Korea. Just, you know, I'm not being funny like. You know, if you think it's bad here, just be grateful you weren't born in North Korea. Because you'll be doing this. After you leave school, men go in the military for 10 years, women going for 7. You kept in poverty, so you're really can buy more missiles. You kept scared, so you can keep the country on the brink of war. And nuclear weapons know no boundaries. They know no borders. If someone starts lobbing them around, we're all done for. So who do we look to in times like this? Who leads us? Who do we admire? No. Where's Mahatma Gandhi when you need him? Where's Martin Luther King? Where's John F. Kennedy? Where's Nelson Mandela? We haven't got those kind of figures because we look at people in public life and we vilify them. We hate them. Politicians have got, you know, you said straight away, oh, our government leaders don't like them. Why not? Because they're dragging the country down. Do you think Theresa May, when she's brushing her teeth in the morning, thinks, well, I'm dragging Britain down today, you won't get through a week. I'm not, you know, asking you your vote for or what your politics like. But surely, nobody spends their life trying to become Prime Minister just to drag the country down. It's party politics, isn't it? We perceive some people look after some sections of people, some parties look after others. You know, Theresa May's got she would be so demotivated. It's not great. Whatever party she's in. Jeremy Corbyn's job at the moment, he's connected with young people and I fully respect that. But I'll tell you this, it's a lot easier having his job than it is having Theresa May's. Because when you're sitting in Jeremy Corbyn's office, you can promise the world, hey, what do you want? You can have 2, 3, sorry, did I say 3? 4. Then I'll get the job and I'll be like, did I say 2? You know, because it's easier to promise in opposition than it is to deliver in office. She chose. Yeah, she did. It has. But she campaigned to remain, didn't she? And now she's... Yeah. As an example, they don't set a good one, do they? But my thought is this, right? Cameron, Corbyn, you know, Johnson, all them, you name it, they're a current breed of politicians. Who's going to want to run for public office from your generation if we dislike them so much? Or will we just end up with more Oxbridge elite making decisions for us?
I don't think we dislike them. I think when you read what they say about policies, like, disagree with policies and
So it is, but you have the freedom of speech to express that. You have the right to vote to be able to change that person who's in number 10. That's a powerful thing. You know, it's 100 years since women finally got the vote fully this year, 100 years. You know, one of the suffragettes, she tried to pin the suffragettes badge on the King's horse and she got run over and she was killed. You know, and that was a woman who was desperately trying to get the vote. You know, people have sacrificed for democracy. And that's how it goes. You know, in opposition, we'll oppose who's in power, we'll support someone who's in power. But what I say is don't lose touch, because then we'll lose you all. No characters from this generation will want to be a politician if they've got such a low standing. And you know, there's another thing here. Donald Trump's ruffled a lot of feathers. And you know, he turned down a visit to come to Britain last month because he said he didn't like the new American embassy. But there's also a school of thought that said, you know what, there's so much freedom of speech in Britain, there is bound to be hundreds of thousands of people standing with placards saying we don't like you. And that will happen. It will happen. In other countries, you hear that in Britain, a country that knows its own mind and is allowed to express its own opinions, it'll happen. So that says something again. Nothing's perfect, but we have a scenario to build on all the time. Look at what's happening with sexual harassment at the moment, the #MeToo campaign. Those brave women who've come out against those abusive men in power relationships are hopefully going to make it easier for all women in the workplace from here on in because of their sacrifice and their strength and their courage. That's happening in our country. You're a frontline politician, you've been accused of sexual peccadillo, you're going to lose your job. It's happened already. So you know, we're a very accountable society and all the concerns we have, which are genuine, we have recourse. But you know, my point was where have all the heroes gone? We've talked past that really. What we're talking about is where does it leave us now? We can't just sit there with a cup of tea and stuff and wait for Gromit to come back with the cheese. We have to fight the good fight, which means doing the right things. We are not an economic superpower in the world, but we are a cultural superpower. We are the cultural superpower in my mind. Our language is spoken widely around the world. Our culture is exported, our music, our fashion, our film, our television, photography, our architecture, our standards in public life. The things that we attain are copied all around the globe. We can be a force for good in your lifetime. Is that what you want? You know, what country do you want to bring your kids into and your grandkids? How do you want Britain to be seen? How do you want to be seen yourself when you go abroad? Because you can help to build that future. So for the last, to sum up this section on prevent and terrorism, I take quite a lot of pieces of graffiti, and here's some examples with summaries. So the graffiti artists there, you know, the work in Brighton, Bristol, and London, they do these amazing pictures on the walls, and then someone comes and paints over a week later and does something else. And Banksy is no longer being chased around by the police in the middle of the night, he's selling his artwork for millions of pounds. So what was once called vandalism is now called street art. You know, the changing face of British culture is evolving all the time. And the artist at Disneyland, one of Banksy's first exhibitions, by putting the Cookie Monster in the middle of the jihadis, reminds us it's the vulnerable who are targeted for radicalisation. Again, not turning over, wasting our time trying to persuade the strong-minded individual, much rather go after someone vulnerable. And probably not ask him to look like that, screaming and spitting feathers and everyone inside, because actually, if we radicalise someone, we're just going to keep it quiet. They're going to do something despicable. And if you thought it was happening to your friends, what I mean by that is, there's a lot of material circulating around that's making people angry. I actually hear a lot of people saying quite strong, strident things about faith and this, that and the other. Where do they form those views? And if you've got somebody in your social group who's a bit like that, why don't you challenge them yourself? If they're using the wrong words for other people, why don't you point it out? Might be the first credible challenge they've ever had. Because some people don't take authority very well. I didn't when I was your age. But you know what, if a mate says something to you, you kind of listen. And you know what, you might be doing your mate a favour. Because I picked up this story in a newspaper in Windsor, near London. I was working in this college in Berkshire, and I was in Windsor. I thought, caught in brief. It's really interesting. There's a newspaper column which tells you who's been in your court in your town. So, you know, in the Echo, whatever it is, you'll see that, and it'll tell you, what people got done for. So this lad had been found guilty in court of using racially aggressive language towards another person. That's what he did. No fisticuffs, no fray, just a verbals. And you can, there's 5 things published: name, age, address, crime, and punishment. And as I was reading it, the person in the college said, "Oh, he came here." And I said, all right. So I thought I'd just recreate the story. I changed the accent a bit, but a lot of the elements just remain the same. Basically, I got wrapped up in someone else's beef, if you must know. You know what I mean? Because there's a group of kids at college, and they're not from around here. They don't mix, they don't blend, they don't fit in. But having to go to some of my boys, a lot of stuff flying about online and that. So I thought I'd step in and tell them how it is, put them straight. But yeah, my language was a bit extra. Because it's all on the CCTV, and there's witnesses, I get arrested, innit? I got a call, I get a £705 fine, I get 120 hours of unpaid work in the community, which basically means I got to jump into a minibus full of no marks in IVs to go and do some gardening at an old people's home. It's embarrassing, mate. But you know what the worst of it is, yeah? I've just finished that college, innit? Level 3 sport. I want to get into coaching and teaching and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And apparently now with this on my record, it's going to be more difficult, isn't it? Yeah, much more difficult. Because who can I employ as a coach or a tutor or trainer for young people with a hate crime with a criminal record? Nobody. So his studies have come to nothing. His certificates are in the bin. He's watching the clock for a few years to pass before someone will trust him again. Because he forgot the meaning of respect and he couldn't keep his mouth shut. So who else would be civilly affected by such a charge on their criminal record? What do you do? What do you do? This stuff writes itself, doesn't it? Tell you something, you're working in a nursery, you're doing all that. And I've been going back my little grandson, me. Thank you, I don't know this, I know. But my daughter, a little boy, when I go to nursery, I'm checking everything I hear in that place. One thing out of order, I'm all over it. You know, I hear someone talking to my aged granny who's not doing care. My grandma passed away, but my great friend just put his dad in a nursing home, I know how he feels, it's awful. He wants maximum respect, any shred of a lack of respect will get pounced on and you'll be punished and sanctioned. So it's central to all of us, that notion of respect, because we demand it for ourselves. So we've got to give it to everyone else. So the prevent stuff, I think, is necessary in our society to be able to sort of create some sort of response to some of the stuff that we see. So I'm going to switch over to DVD and just play a few things up there for you. You've got another 20 minutes, I think. If I'm right, I think it's 12:45 now, yeah. So, right. I want to say to you that, as a sort of joke about how people laugh about your accent and talk about Scouts and I've always had a massive admiration for your city. People that you have. Whenever I come here, it's remarkable. I know it's not cliche either. You're very friendly, very hospitable, very funny, and you're very warm. And there's something that's been in my heart for decades. And I realised what it was when I was putting this next story together about fake news. And I thought that it would need to be addressed because, Donald Trump talks about it a lot. And I remembered about fake news, and I thought, do something about it. I remember Freddie Starr, my hamster. That was on the front of the Sun, and I thought, look how rubbish that was. Like, you know, who slow news day or publicity stunt or who cares? Obviously fake. So then I went to live in America for a while, and I used to buy the Weekly World News. And that, they just used to tell lies. Elvis is alive and become president. Yeah. Blah, blah. It was so obviously fake. It didn't trick me, did it? So how do you know what's fake and what's real when it's not that obvious? When it's just coming down your timelines or on your news review? You believe everything you see. Everybody's shouting and trying to shout the loudest on social media. Everybody's making wilder claim after wilder claim after wilder claim. This is not a quiet place. So how do you know? Do you think most young people go back and check the sources of a news story they see? Or do you think that actually that kind of media forms people's opinions about certain communities? Like I said, if you're a British Muslim, you would rather see that word terrorism, you'd attach with something that's close to your heart, your faith. So what must that feel like? Well, there's only one fake news story that I've lived with for 30 years, that you've lived with for 30 years, that proves without doubt that even one day's headline can cast a long shadow. It's obvious, isn't it? I was here in April, you know, so my wife was at a conference in town, and we were there. Wandering about, and there was the match on Sunday afternoon, and I thought, I'm awful. I didn't have a ticket though, but I went to the stadium, and it's ace up there, and it's a bit rough, and it's a bit rough around the edges. All the scallies running down the match, and all the badge sellers, and all that, and the smell of the hot dog is just lovely. And I wandered around the stadium, and I came across the Hillsborough Memorial, and I stopped in my tracks. And so much stuff came to wash back over me, because I tried to go to that game. My brother is a Liverpool fan, I'm a Leeds fan, I was going to treat him. I went to Hillsborough on the day the tickets came on sale at 10 o'clock in the morning, because back in the day you could rock up to stadiums, buy all the tickets you wanted. But because this was a semi-final, the fella said to me, oh, you can't have any tickets, lad. They're only selling them at Anfield and Nottingham Forest. So I thought, oh, right, fair enough. So like a lot of other people, got a couple of beers in and sat there on a Saturday afternoon and watched a tragedy unfold. Commentators lost for words, an ambulance on the pitch, bodies being dragged down onto the pitch. You know, live. It shocked me. I was on those terraces, I was a Leeds fan, I knew what it was like, I knew what those fences felt like, what those barriers felt like, I knew what everybody thought of us. And so when that happened, and then that came out, I knew that wasn't right. Anybody who knew football knew that wasn't right. Because I tell you something, I go to a Leeds game, all the other fans, they're like family. If I'm on the moon, I see someone with a white shirt, I'm like, oh! I know it's shallow and vacuous, but I don't care. I love football. I love Leeds. I love Leeds fans. The last thing I would ever even dream of doing is what they accuse Liverpool fans of doing. I'm not going to say it. So I ask you, and I ask people all over the country, what two groups of people thought when this paper came out? Number one, the people of Liverpool. Number two, everybody else. Because I remember the words they used. And the most common word they used was scum. That's what it was. And Duckenfield and the rest of the South Yorkshire Police thought they could get away with blaming a group of people who were already maligned. Sounding familiar, Tom? Such a parallel, isn't it, to how different communities are discriminated against. So 30 years of hurt, 30 years of fighting for justice, 30 years of trying to get inquiries and trials, and I know why people think of this city in such high regard. And this is a big part of the contemporary history of your city. And when I was there, I walked in front of that thing, I stood in front of that memorial, and all this washed over me, and I realised it was the fake news story to put into this presentation. I was making it at the time. And as I stood there, I looked left and right, and those two were just appeared with their lads. And I stepped back because it was their moment, wasn't it? You know, I had my moment there, because obviously it's a very, you know, it was an amazing thing to go and pay your respects, and I had to take the picture because I heard what they said. And when I say what I'm going to say next to groups of students and teachers and people all over the country, they get it. They get it. Because you're so genuine. This is what they were saying. This is what it means to be a Liverpool fan, son. You never forget the fight for the justice for the 96. Because they came to the football just like we're doing today, son, and they never came home again. We never forget. And every time I say it, every hair on the back of my neck stands up. Because the dignity of people like Kenny Dalglish, 37-year-old, 96 funerals. You know, Ian Rush, Steven Gerrard throughout the years. People ask why they go to Chelsea. Are you joking me? You know, the dignity your community has shown is a beacon of British values, of not lying down, of fighting against injustice, of fighting against discrimination, and having a system that will eventually deliver what you wanted. So I ask audiences all over the country, why can't we celebrate being British like we're made up of these incredible identities? Scousers, Mankeys, Brummers, Yorkshire, Geordie, you know, we're like this incredible kind of identities. Why can't we see ourselves as more positive, and popular, and innovative, creative? You know, why do we look down on ourselves? I ask that the media doesn't help. But I think we should be more confident because we're made up of incredible tribes of people. And the progress in the city that I've seen since I first came here, incredible. You know, so thank you. It means a lot to be able to tell that story in front of you lot, you know. But it's what I do all over the country because it is the story that reminds us that fake news is not some throwaway Donald Trumpism. It actually matters, and it actually affects people, and it actually affects communities. So you know, you'll never walk alone, honestly. You don't take lumps in people's throats, you lot, don't you? Not Everton fans, but okay, one more thing about the law I'd like to cover before we move on to the Glorious Film, and it's the rise of the trolls. When I was young, I thought troll looked like that, and I know you've recycled the word. Very good. I like what you've done there. Because a troll is someone bitter and twisted who can't bear to see anyone else having a good time. So this troll in particular didn't want to let the goats cross the bridge. So they decided to try to trick him. They sent little Billy first, and little Billy said, don't eat me, I'm only little. Why did you wait and eat my brother? He's massive. Right? Which is a bit unfaithful to you, but the troll let him go. And then second Billy tried the same. And the troll let him go. And even as a 4-year-old, I'm thinking, he's not the sharpest tool in the box, is it? He's let 2 goats go past, and there's only 1 goat to go, and that's Big Billy. And he's not scared of trolls. Because not everybody is. Not everybody's scared of bullies because they don't get targeted, do they? It's the vulnerable who get targeted. So, you know, Big Billy was able to see off the threat from the troll quite easily. So, how are you getting on? How are you getting on? When people think it's okay to be able to abuse people behind a telephone or a laptop? I had a message on Instagram the other week, and again, sorry, Mr. Cameron, this will involve a swear word. I got a message from Instagram. I didn't know you did message. I only started on Instagram a few months ago, and I didn't have any messages, and I saw this red dot, and I'd been sent a message, and the message said, hi, you came to my college today, and I'd like to ask you a couple of questions about your show. And I hadn't read it for 5 or 6 days, whatever it was, I didn't know how to open the message on Instagram. So another message had arrived, and the second message simply said, I was like, what? So I sent her a message back saying, hi, just got both messages. What would you like to know? And he didn't write back, did he, of course? And the other difference was, he wouldn't have called me that to my face, would he? He would come up to me in the street and verbally abuse and swear at me and think he could get away with it. And I'm not talking about getting into a fight, I'm just saying, Why does someone think they have the power to be able to do that? And it's not just me, you see. You've got frontline female cabinet ministers threatened with gang rape by people on Twitter. How can someone think that's okay? I think it's because the internet is built like it's sort of free. We all charge around, do all these brilliant things. Oh, look at this, oh, look at that. And there's been no regulation. The guy who founded Snapchat, he's got 1 billion users. He's a billionaire. He's about 14. And he's very pleased with himself, of course. But my question to him would be, how many bullying remarks has your app facilitated? How many people have been on the wrong end of your nice, shiny piece of technology? It's because they've been cornered and a swarm of comments is coming down the track to their machine. You've all seen it. You all see it every day. Do you ever call it? Do you ever see it when you see abject cruelty online? Because it lands somewhere, doesn't it? Excuse me. If you walk down the street and you talk to a 16-year-old beating up a 12-year-old, you get in the middle of it. But online, we just sit and watch. You know, when does someone call it? Because well, there's a report button on everything. You could challenge someone. You could say stop it. You could look at where it's happening. Well, the point is that these apps have come out so quickly because the internet and broadband have come around so quickly that the laws struggle to keep up. So what's happened in this country is it's taken ages, but it's really, really great to announce that the CPS have announced a crackdown on social media hate crimes. And you think to yourself, why is it taking so long? And then you could say, well, look at the British justice system. Does that look like something that rushes? Does it look like something in a hurry? No. This is a system that deliberates. And if you have to judge what the problem was, he'd probably apologise. Yeah, sorry about that. It has taken somewhat back, and rather by surprise, the rapid increase in broadband technology, the phenomenal increase in social media networking applications, Facebook, Snapchat, WhatsApp, etc. But now, I'm happy to announce, after deliberation, if it is classed as a crime offline, it is now classed as a crime online. Last month, it was my pleasure to jail a man who had called for the death of British Muslims on Facebook after the Manchester attack. His conviction under new registration was the first of its kind, but hear this, it will certainly not be the last. No, it won't, because if you bring in a new law, you hammer the first people who break it, because then the next people don't come. It's called a deterrent. And that's how British law works. So expect this whole thing to tighten. You're the hygienists. You've never done anything else but total immersion in social media. Since you can work your thumbs. You know, and now what have you done? What have you done? You put 10 years of beefs up there. 10 years of pictures, 10 years of conversations. Everybody, the internet knows a lot about you. What would I find if I typed your name into Google? It's never been as easy to go and do a check on someone independently. And if you think I'm not checking you before you come and work my nursery, or you work in my care home, you're crazy. Okay? It takes 2 minutes. And if there's anything alarming, 1 word. Next. Okay? Just straight with you. That's how people whittle people down when they're looking for the right people to have their jobs. And anything that's alarming would raise alarm bells for someone who wanted to employ you. And who amongst us couldn't say they haven't put a comment online they regret? Because I know I have. Got drawn into something that made me angry and suddenly realised half an hour later I've probably not done the right thing. So, you know, it happens to us all. We've got to be really careful about how and what we say online. We'll be forever judged. Okay, a couple more things to get through before we finish. 5 minutes. Actually, no, I'm going to just finish up with a story about that brings these two things together. If you want to see any more of my stuff, you can see it on YouTube. If the tutors want to subscribe to an online channel, you can use all stuff in your lessons. You can use that for follow-up. I have another resource that goes on from this that you can use across 2 or 3 weeks. They spread some work out, interactions, support notes, all that sort of stuff. So if you want to look at it, it's all up there, or ask me afterwards. But I'd like to draw this thing to an end by talking to you about last year's Glastonbury Festival. It's on most years, it's not on this year, unfortunately, but I'm really lucky in that I can go to the festival every year because my friend runs quite a big part of it and he employs me to do puppetry. It's brilliant. It's like a perk, honestly, I'm proper lucky. And I get to go, and so this last year, 2017, I've got my tickets there, you know, I've been sent my tickets, me, my wife, my daughter, and her fiance. She's getting married, obviously. So the 4 of us are getting ready to go, and I see in the newspapers and on social media that Glastonbury will yet again be a target for terrorists. The so-called Islamic State are going to disrupt British events. It was 4 weeks after Manchester. It was 6 weeks after London Bridge. And I'm taking my family onto a farm to stand in a crowd of 300,000 people. You know, should I go? Should I change my mind? What should I do? I know it's easy to smuggle things onto a farm. It's open, isn't it? As it turned out, someone had smuggled a bottle of vodka in one of my pillowcases. Really odd. Anyway, you know, I did go because I ain't having someone changing the way I live my life. I ain't having someone robbing me of what I love most by trying to threaten me. So we went, and when we got there, my friend said, we were talking about the work that I do in colleges and the stuff that he was saying, we were talking about the terror attacks in the summer. And he said, I want to do something Glastonbury style. Let's do something big. Let's go for a world record. I was with him and said, well, let's make a peace sign out of human beings. And I said, really? He said, yeah, we'll go to the King's Meadow. It's a massive field. I'll get thousands and thousands of people up there. We'll make a peace sign shape. We'll get a helicopter, take a picture of it, get it on social media, get it in loads of papers all around the world, message from Glastonbury. And I'm like, you've got a helicopter? And he's like, oh no, but Michael's got one, I can borrow it for an hour. I'm like, really? Can I go with the camera? He said, no, the helicopter's got a camera. Really? I'll just go stay down here and wave, okay? So I did, and what I wanted to leave you with was a postcard from the festival. And the festival is the most famous festival in the world. It's a showcase of British talent like no other. Music, theatre, circus, dance, environment, ingenuity, lasers, electrics, you name it. It's going on there. So this is the story of last year's festival and our world record attempt at building a peace sign.
Stop reading the news, get to life and go outside and have fun.
Message is, enjoy life, you get one shot.
Spread love, not hate.
So we've got a world record for most human beings in a peace sign shape in a field. It's rather random, isn't it? It's rather British, isn't it? Rather Glastonbury, rather original and innovative. It's the kind of thing that we're good at. Not being a military superpower, but being a cultural superpower. And meanwhile on the main stage back here, the latest icons representing our country were having their day in the sun. You know, Ed Sheeran headline on the Sunday night. When Ed Sheeran tried to get a record deal, every major record label said to him, no mate, sorry, we don't need a white ginger rapper with an acoustic guitar. And he didn't listen. He went away and recorded his album, 100,000 downloads in the first week alone. Didn't need to have talked to any more record companies. Storms is from telling people to shut up in a car park to becoming a global superstar. You know, because of the way you use YouTube. You know, these are the latest people who are traveling the world, telling the English story, exploring and sharing English culture, and bringing money into our tourist and cultural economy. It's what we're good at. So, you know, I think wherever you look in British society, there are reasons to be cheerful. And I'm a patriot, I'm positive, but I love this country, and I'm sick of it being overtaken. The flag being taken, nationalistic, defensive, xenophobic views, when actually the majority of people in this country want exactly the same thing. Peace, prosperity, friendship, happiness. You know, when you get to my age, you realise that is actually what's important. So, you know, wherever you're at with this, in terms of, you know, the British values debate, you know, look for value. The value that you have, the value that this country gives to you. It's not perfect, you're right. And there's plenty of stuff we could get better. But there's other things that we do well. So, I'd like to basically end the session by saying, thank you, innit? Yeah. Because number one, you've had to listen to him rant for an hour, respect for that. Number two, to be fair, he's only trying to bring a government policy to life, so give him a break. But number three, the thing is, yeah, a lot of people say your generation aren't even like focused. You've got no respect or attention span or critical thinking skills. A lot of criticism is levelled out on the young. But I just see the flip side every day, you know what I mean? Like, I like coming to this college for my third time. Doesn't matter whether it's a send group, whether it's connect, whether it's young people who are trying to find a way in life, whether it's people who know their minds, whatever it is, full respect for the visit and hospitality. So it's lovely to be back here again. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day and live a good life. Thank you very much.